loves, welcome back to the Needy Homesteader channel, and I have a really fun video for you guys. I have been waiting for this package that we are going to unbox together. It is sourdough starter, and not just regular sourdough starter. This is a 1 ounce live culture of sourdough starter. So how did this all begin? Well, so many of you guys have reached out to me saying that you wanted to make sourdough starter bread, especially with the holidays coming, and you just are struggling with the starter. It doesn't matter how many times you try to follow the videos or open up a book and try to follow the book instructions, you are just struggling. And many of you are starting to feel defeated, and that like breaks my heart, because we could try something else, and this, hopefully this is the solution to that. So I started looking around, like how could I actually considered selling my sourdough starter and shipping it out to people. But I was like, well, let's see if somebody can't do it who's wiser and better than me. So I did some research, and you know, unfortunately a lot of the sourdough starter that's sold is dehydrated, and I figured that if you bought dehydrated, it's just going to add another level of complication of having to try to rehydrate it and then get it going. So I really wanted to find a live culture for you. So I did, and I wanted to find it easy, like a place that everybody could have access, and I found it on Amazon, and it's a 1 ounce jar of starter that is, well, it's over 100 years old. It was started in 1916 from this great-grandfather who worked at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, and they still have their great-grandfather's jar that he started this sourdough in. He named her Sophia, and now they're selling it. So I thought, well, how can you go wrong? If this works, like, you're gonna have a starter that's over 100 years old and full of flavor. So let's get the camera aimed down. Let's open it together. I didn't even open it yet, and I'm super excited. And then over there, I got my scale out, girls. And gentlemen, because I got some gentlemen following me too. We are gonna feed it. We're gonna start it together. And I even thought, you know what, maybe I'll make this into a little series like I did my other 2 sourdough starters, and we will come back every day together, feed it, and take a look at it together, and you can kind of just walk through it with me. And then that way it will stay on my channel. It'll be another option for anyone out there who wants to start making sourdough bread but struggles. This is going to be for the people specifically who struggle making the starter. And then that way I can direct people to this like little playlist for anyone who comes to me at a later date who struggles. And then they can actually go through the videos and watch how we feed it, watch how it bounces back, and then watch us use it, right? And then we can make bread together. So, all right, I'm not gonna be a chatty Cathy. I'm gonna spin you around. We're gonna open this together, and we'll take a look at what it looks like. So let's get this open. And we have packaging peanuts, which we'll empty. And then here is the starter. And then there's a little card inside. So let me get this cleaned up. Okay, hopefully that'll get focused in there. It says Heirloom Sourdough Starter, established in 1916. Use the QR code. See, this is where we talk about QR codes. Use a QR code for liquid starter feeding instructions, or visit us at heirloomsourdough.com. Reviews are highly appreciated. It helps our shop grow. Thank you. Thanks again for accepting Sophia into your home. I hope Sophia brings you and your family many happy baking memories. It is now time to give your starter a new name and keep her or him in your family for generations. Oh, this is so exciting. All right, let's take a look at the container. Okay, so we have fresh liquid great-grandfather sourdough starter, 1916, San Francisco, California. Please feed upon arrival. 1 ounce of fresh starter, which was key for me to find for you guys. Our 1916 family starter will provide you with a powerful tool to your sourdough journey with a lovely flavor and wild yeast profile that's over 100 years in the making. And then, of course, then they say scan the QR code for feeding instructions. So, for those of you who have never used a QR code, and I know I talked about them in a previous video because they're scamming through Amazon with the QR codes. Now, I trust this place, okay? So, what we're going to do is, but I'm going to show you what a QR code reader looks like. I think you can do it with your phone too, but I have an actual app that says QR reader on it. So we're just going to click that, and then I'm going to hit it that way, and then up pops the directions. And this works very much like the brand new bread book from King Arthur. It has QR codes all throughout the book on recipes, and so you can click the QR code and you'll be able to get recipes and tools used in the book, which is really great. I mean, QR codes can be a blessing. So let's see. It says, congratulations on starting your wonderful journey into sourdough baking. Your new sourdough starter will be hungry from its long journey, so be sure to feed her as soon as possible. Do not use distilled reverse osmosis, ozonated or alkaline water. I prefer using natural spring water. It can be found at almost any grocery store and is relatively inexpensive. Now, I have well water, but we have a whole house water filter system. And I've never had any problems with my water. So that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, let's see. Note, do not use bleached or enriched flours. They contain chemicals that can slow down or kill off the wild yeast cultures. Any unbleached flour will work, but I prefer using King Arthur Unbleached all-purpose or bread flour, and that's exactly what I have. I have the organic unbleached King Arthur all-purpose flour. Okay, so let's see. Have a 16-ounce glass jar with a lid. Okay, we have that. Carefully open the starter jar. It might not look like much, but it's more than enough to get you started. It may look a little deflated, but it will liven up after it's feeding. The first feeding, pour 40 grams, about 3 tablespoons of filtered lukewarm water into an original starter container with the starter. Screw the cap back on and shake it up until the water and the starter have mixed together. Pour the contents into its new home. Add 40 grams or 3 tablespoons of lukewarm filtered water into the new jar with starter. Use the spoon to mix the starter in the water until it's almost all the way dissolved. Add 80 grams or 3/4 cup of the unbleached all-purpose flour to speed things up. So you can use 60 grams, about 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, and 20 grams of whole wheat. I don't use whole wheat. I use the dark rye, organic dark rye, and I have really good results using the rye, but you can use the wheat if you want. And that just adds some extra nutrients in it. So, all right, let's get started over here, and we will walk through this together, getting this started. So if you order your own, you'll know exactly what I did. First and foremost, we're going to open this up and take a look at it together, okay? So we're going to open it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and open it up. And that's a good amount. That is a good amount. That's plenty to get our starter started. Let me smell it. Oh, it smells, it smells divine. It smells, oh, it's got a good, it smells really, really good, really healthy. Okay, so now it tells us to carefully open the starter jar. It may not look like much, but it's more than enough. Yes, it is. First feeding, we're going to pour 40 grams, about 3 tablespoons of filtered lukewarm water, barely warm to the touch, into the original starter container with the starter. We're going to screw the cap back on and we're going to shake it up until the water and the starter have mixed together. Okay, so let me go get some lukewarm water. So we're going to move that. We're going to bring back our scale. I love this Kitchenaid scale. It's got 2 scales, so I can actually weigh things separately if I need to, which is really handy when I'm making bread rolls. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to set this to, we don't want ounces and pounds, we want grams. So this is how I measure in grams when I need to do that, okay? So I'm going to just transfer my water to a different container. So what I do is I go ahead and I put my container on the scale. Okay, that's 52 grams. And then what we're going to do is we are going to scale it out, okay? And now we are going to, it says to add 40 grams. So now we're going to go ahead and carefully add this water. To 40 grams, okay? Then we're going to go ahead, we're going to add that right to our container. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the lid back on, nice and tight, okay? And then we're going to shake it. I'm sure this helps get every single bit of that starter out of this container. So give it a good shake. Now I'm going to get that back to 0. And then we're going to weigh. Now I've got a weck jar that I use specifically for my sourdough. And as you see, she's heavy. So we're going to go ahead and put that back to 0. And now I'm going to go ahead and open up our container. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like before I pour it in. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and pour all of that in. Okay, now we're going to pour 40 more grams of water in here. Okay, now what I do is I would just zero that out and I would just add 40. If it's a little over, it's fine. I've never had a problem. But for this, I almost feel like we need to measure it out for anyone who's new. Okay, so we're gonna measure. Okay, so then I'm gonna pour this way. If you mess up, you can always pour the water back. Ooh, it's up close. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's 40. Make sure. I'm going to put it right in the center. Yep, 40. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. We're going to add this back in here. We're going to tear it out back to 0. Okay, and then when we pour this in, it should equal 40. I'm going to do the same thing this time. We're going to weigh out the all-purpose flour here. Before we do that, I want to stir this. We forgot to stir this. We're just going to stir the water into that starter. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, all right, now we're just going to keep this. I'm not even going to add the dark rye, so you don't have to add the dark rye or the wheat. We're just going to keep this all-purpose, unbleached, organic flour, because that is something that most people can find in their grocery stores. And I don't want to make this complicated at all. I want to keep this as simple as possible for everyone so that you can have success, okay? That's my goal here. So, all right, so we're using organic, all-purpose, unbleached, all-purpose flour. All-purpose twice, from King Arthur. I'll also leave a link to this down below in case you can't find it where you live, because I live out in the, you know, in the country as well. Sometimes these things are harder, but you can get this on Amazon. I'll leave a link for all of these things, okay? So we are going to measure out. They want us to add 80 grams, okay? I'm just going to measure this out. The one thing that I struggled with when I was learning how to make bread and cook, but mainly make bread, was that it was really hard finding videos that didn't edit things out. And I needed to see everything to see what it was that I was doing wrong when things wouldn't work out. So I really try to film the way that I like to learn myself, and in hopes that it helps you too. So I'm a visual learner. I have to see it. All right, so that's 80 grams right there, okay? So now we're done with our scale. I'm going to just put that to the side. We're going to bring this here. Now you could use a funnel, would probably be the wisest way. I'm just going to go ahead. I don't want to spill any, so, and my hands are not trustworthy. So I'm just going to go ahead, add most of it this way. We'll go ahead and tip that in. Okay. And now I'm just going to kind of move you to the side a little so that I can use my hands without bumping you. We're going to go ahead and we are going to stir this in. And hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, now the key to sourdough starter, okay, is to make sure there's no lumps. So really get in there and stir it. These little stirring spatulas are really nice. I'm actually found some wooden ones for sourdough starter, and I think I'm going to buy them and test them out and see if those are even better. Because as nice as these silicone ones are, they do give a little bit. And I really want something like harder. And the wood ones I think would work really well. So you don't want any lumps of flour in there. You really want to make sure you get them all out. Now, I'm going to post pictures of this tonight. Once it starts eating and it starts bubbling, I will post pictures on my Instagram, over on my Facebook, as well as here at on my community tab. And if you don't know where the community tab is on you know, your favorite YouTuber to their channel, you're gonna go to their channel, their homepage, and there'll be a tab, like it'll say home, it'll say videos, it'll say live. Just scroll across until you see community, and they have a whole community tab, and that's another way. It's kind of newer, and I know a lot of content creators don't utilize it, but I think it's fantastic. It's almost like a message board, it's kind of like mixing a little bit of Instagram in with YouTube. And so I will post pictures there, I will post pictures on Instagram, and I will post pictures on Facebook so you guys can see it. And then what I'll do is I'll come back tomorrow and we will feed this again together, and you guys can see in real time how this is working out for me. If you decide to go ahead and buy it, it does take a little extra time because it doesn't come through Amazon. It comes through the Heirloom Sourdough company. So allow like a week to 10 days for it to come. So if you want to get it now for the holidays, you can. If you want to wait for the next couple days to see how this turns out for me, you can do that as well. I'm going to just take that out, and then I'm going to kind of spin you around under the light, and you can kind of see what that looks like. Now I'll show you where it is there. A lot of people put a band on there, but if you scrape the sides pretty well, you can pretty much see when it starts growing. You'll be able to tell how much it's grown. I don't put a band on it anymore, and I don't know if I can find a band. Let me see if I can find a band real quick. Couldn't find a band. The only band I have is an armband to Mina's cheerleading performance. So, and that wouldn't fit the bottom of the weck. So what I'm going to do is I found a sticker, one of Mina's stickers. It says Hope God on it. So we are going to go ahead, and I'll do it right under the main weck. I will put this sticker, and I'm going to take you off the tripod. I'll catch ya. Woo! Wee! Okay. There we go. So, there's a sticker. Okay, it's right at the line. If my camera will focus. There she goes. Okay, so it's right at the line, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I have little bonnets for my sourdough starter. It's okay if you don't. I have a friend right now who's using a coffee filter and a metal band that you can with, like a canning band. Whatever you want to use. You just want it to be able to get air because it needs to pick up the yeast in the air so that it can eat. Okay, so this is it. I'm so excited. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my scale back over here. Okay, I'm going to put my, I always keep my sourdough stuff out, and this way then I don't forget to feed it. And then I'm going to put that there. Okay, so that's where that's going to sit. And that's it. That's it. All right, so I am going to come back later on once it starts feeding, hopefully. If everything goes well, it'll start eating, and it'll get floofy, and it will start growing, and it'll get bubbly and wonderful. And I will come back and take pictures and post it here under my community tab. I will also post it on Instagram and Facebook. I will leave links to those down below in the description box. If you see the description box, if you're new, it'll say like read more. Just click on that and it'll open it up. All the links, I'm going to post all the links that I can for the things that I use. I'll post a link for the sourdough starter in case you want to just go ahead and buy it and try it yourself. If not, and you just want to come along for the ride, then, you know, come back. We are going to do this every day, I think, for a couple of days until we get this going. And then because it's already established, you can use this right away. Once you know that it's fed and it's eating and it's growing and it's wonderful, it's going to be ready to use. This is why this would be so wonderful for people that are struggling, or people who want to make sourdough but don't have time to make a sourdough starter. So I hope you guys come back tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. We'll feed it again together, and then maybe we'll do one more video after that, just to make sure that you guys get going on this and you don't have any questions. So if you do have questions, leave them for me down below. I've also thought about maybe doing a live chat with my YouTube membership with the members. It's like $5 to join. I always give, like, you know, a heads up. You guys usually get the videos a little early, and I want to start doing live chats over there. I just can't really do live chats with as many subscribers as I have without just, you know, having to endure a lot of trolling. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. And if we're gonna sit and chit chat in a live stream, I really want to talk to you guys, especially if we're gonna do topics like sourdough, canning, all those kinds of wonderful things. So it's something that I want to do, and now that my body is getting stronger and my endurance is coming back, it's just something I really want to do with you guys. So a link to that will be down below as well. If you have any questions for me, leave them down below. We'll try my very best to come and answer them for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys later on social media when I post a picture when this starts eating. But I will see you guys tomorrow in another video when we feed it again together. Okay, love you guys. Mwah, God bless, and see you tomorrow.